Good afternoon, Rupert.
Hi.
My name is Lifen. Lifen.
Lifen, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Actually, we met about 10 years ago in Berkeley.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, good.
And,
Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Yes. I first of all, I would like to thank you for your presence, and I feel like your explanation is very clear about non-duality, and it's very helpful for me. Yeah, and okay, just want to confirm with you my experience is this emptiness or this awareness, which I call it, there's no word and there's nothing that can describe it, and it's not it, and it's just this. And it's one with this dynamic consciousness. It's one, which is the clarity and everything that it's here. And that's what I understand.
Yes. You and I use words slightly differently. I use the words awareness and consciousness synonymously.
Yes, that's why I also want to...
Yes, and there's nothing wrong with your use of the word. You suggest that this sort of aware emptiness is the primary reality, and that what you call consciousness is the dynamic activity of this aware emptiness. Is that right?
Yes, and also maybe like the I am can also be observed from this absolute presence or absolute.
No, because the thought I am can be observed.
Yes.
Just like the thought a cat can be observed. The thought I am can be observed. But the thought I am refers to an experience.
Yes.
So say to yourself now, I am.
I am.
That's a thought inside your...
Yes.
It's a formulation, but it's a formulation of an experience.
Symbol of an experience.
It's a symbol of an experience.
Yes.
And the experience, to what experience does the thought I am refer? It refers to the experience of being. Now, what has the experience of being? In order to be able to say I am, there must be the experience I am.
Yes.
That is the experience of being. But what has the experience of being?
The experience of being.
Being has the experience of itself. And we know that because when we say, I know that I am, the I that I am and the I that knows that I am are the same I.
Yes.
So we know that the words I am refer to being's knowledge of itself. Being's self-awareness.
But is it as a movement?
No, in being's, in the pure awareness of being, or being's awareness of itself, there's no movement. But if awareness moves or vibrates within itself, that then is the vibration of consciousness. I call it mind. I refer to that as mind. And it is that I would suggest is what appears to us as the universe.
Okay.
So that there's consciousness at rest and consciousness in motion.
Okay. When consciousness is at rest, the I am is still here. I feel I am, right?
Yes. The awareness of being is always aware of itself. It cannot not be aware of itself, just like the sun always illuminates itself. The sun cannot not illuminate itself. We are always aware of being. Right now, everybody, not just those of us interested in these matters, all 8 billion of us, all 8 trillion if we include the animals, everyone is constantly, continually aware of being. In fact, it's not everyone that is aware of being. It's being in us, as us, that is always aware of itself throughout the three states of waking, dreaming, and sleeping. But in the waking and dreaming states, we are not only aware of being, we are also aware of thoughts, feelings, sensations, and perceptions. And our awareness, that's what I call experience, objective experience. Typically, our awareness of objective experience obscures our awareness of being. So when we're aware in the waking state of thoughts and perceptions, we tend to ignore, forget, or overlook our being. We are, in fact, still aware of our being. If I were to ask you now, is it
Leafy.
Leafy. If I were to ask you now, are you aware of your breathing?
Yes.
What would you say?
Yes.
Yes. Were you aware of your breathing before I drew attention to it?
No.
You were aware of it, but it was so quiet compared to the perception of this room, your hand on your mic. It was such a transparent, silent sensation that you were aware of it.
Deep in my...
Did anything happen? But when I said, are you aware of your breathing, did the sensation of your breathing change?
No.
No, it stayed the same. It was there. It was always there in the field of your perception, but it was so quiet that you were not aware that you were aware of it. Your awareness of perceptions, the sensations of your body, our conversation, all of these obscured the transparency, the quietness of your breath. Yeah.
All my attention was not in my breath.
Yes, but you were still aware of it, but so quietly that you didn't register it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, if I would say to you now, are you aware of being?
That's why I want to ask you, what
are you now aware of being?
What do you mean by being?
Are you having the experience to which you refer when you say I am? Can you say of your experience, I am? Can you say I am or I am not? Which is true of your experience?
At this moment, I am.
Okay, good. And then you're aware of being. So it's not going to work now because you're not sure what I mean by being, but what I wanted, the reason I said I drew attention to your breath was that that's a very, very subtle sensation, perhaps the subtlest, the most transparent of sensations. What I wanted to draw attention to was the fact that you were previously aware of your breath, but your awareness of your breath was obscured by your awareness of other things. So then I asked you, are you aware of being? What I was going to suggest was that your being was even more silent, even more transparent, even more empty than your breath, yeah. But that you are actually always aware of being. But your awareness of being is obscured by your awareness of other things. Or rather, your being is always aware of itself, but it tends to lose itself in the content of experience, and therefore its knowledge of itself recedes into the background. And it only comes into the foreground when there's a gap in the stream of experience. What precipitates that gap in the stream of experience? The fulfillment of a desire, the end of a thought, a moment of intense danger or grief, the experience of deep sleep. There are many intense pleasure. There are many experiences that cut across the linear flow of experience, that bring the mind to an end, and suddenly our awareness of being shines. In fact, the awareness of being was always shining, but it was previously obscured by the flow of experience. And then, when experience comes to an end, this tremendous shock,
yes,
or the fulfillment of a desire, or the pause between thoughts, these gaps in the flow of experience, that's when the awareness of being shines through. The common name for that is peace or happiness.
I had a moment of grace where the mind stopped and I have seen myself so clearly that there's nothing like there's no doubt. And
okay, what do you think happened to yourself when experience started again?
Huh?
Where is that self now that you experienced in that moment of grace?
That self, it's just there's no thought.
No, but where is it now? You had this moment of grace.
It's here.
And it's here. Is it available to you?
It's me.
It's me. It's perfect. That's it. It's you all the time. So that moment of grace is actually your whole life. You can spend your life there. not just a moment of grace. It was a moment of grace where your experience, something brought the linear flow of your mind to an end, and you had this moment of grace when you tasted the nature of being. But as you rightly say, that being is you now. You have access to it. You don't have access to it. You are it.
Yes.
You can stay in touch. You can remain as your being in the midst of experience, 24/7. That's what it means to pray without ceasing. You don't have to wait for a moment of grace.
Yes, yes. So I think the most helpful question that I will ask right now is that it's not okay. The mind doesn't need to understand what that teacher said about like there's still consciousness there. I just like for my own liberation and for my own maturing of my spiritual.
The only thing I usually leave this to the last day until I say this, but I recommend you forget everything I say this week.
Okay.
You don't have to understand. If there's anything you have to understand at all this week, actually you don't have to understand anything because you always have your own being with you.
Yes.
You don't need me. You don't need the words of the teaching because you can just refer to your being.
Okay.
But let me give you a hint about the nature of your being. It's experienced on the inside as peace and on the outside as love.
Okay.
That's all you need to understand.
I just need to abide in this thing.
That's all you need to know, is that peace and happiness are the nature of being on the inside, and we share our being with everyone and everything, that is love, on the outside. That's all you need to understand. Everything else, all our speculation about the universe and the infinite meeting, all that is superfluous. It's not necessary.
Okay. So do you mean I should abide in this place? Like just as I am?
I suggest you just be knowingly this presence of awareness or infinite being. Just be that knowingly.
Okay.
Taste its peace on the inside, its inherent peace. In other words, the peace that passeth understanding, the peace and happiness that aren't dependent on what does or does not take place in experience. Feel that on the inside, and then feel that you share your being with everyone, irrespective of whether you like them or not, on the outside. That's it in a nutshell.
When you say I share my being, that should be a natural thing. Like I just be myself.
It's the nature of. It's not that you share your being. There's no you to share your being. There is just the one being, and everyone and everything derives its apparently independent existence from the one being. So it's the one being that shines in each of us as the knowledge I am. Our being is the one's being, the only being there is.
Okay. But it seems like it's exactly what you say. This is a pathless path because it's not even a practice. There's no practice. It's just the understanding.
Well, the practice is from separation to oneness, and we practice either on the progressive path or the direct path. But once we have arrived at oneness, the recognition that there is only infinite being, then the question of practice, it doesn't even come up again. Who would practice? Who is there left to practice or not practice? We've arrived at the understanding. There is just the one infinite being. If there were any practice left as a concession to you, if there were any practice left, it would be the practice not to recognize that or realize that or become that, but the practice to realign one's life with that understanding. Think, feel, act, perceive, and relate in a way that is consistent with this recognition that there is only one.
And is this realignment and conscious effort or just like naturally?
It's both.
Okay.
It's both. When we are sitting in our meditations in the morning, when we are going walks together with friends around the pond, when we're sitting having meals, all those times, both our formal meditation times and the time we spend socially or on our own, we are soaking the cloth of our body-mind in in the vat of the yellow dye of being. So, and there it's just happening naturally. The body-mind, the cloth of the body-mind is just being saturated in, permeated by the yellow dye of being. That's happening naturally. But we can also cooperate with it consciously. We can also make an effort to think, feel, act, perceive, and relate in a way that is consistent with this understanding.
So this being that you talk about is just this presence, right?
This being is what enables you to say for certain, I am. It's what you refer to when you say, I am. The words I am refer to the experience of being.
What is the difference, last question, what is the difference between the direct path and the pathless path?
Between the direct path and the
Direct,
pathless path.
yes.
On the direct path, we start as a separate self.
Oh.
And we ask ourselves, who am I really? I feel that I am myself, but my sense of myself is mixed up with my thoughts and feelings. So when I think of myself, I think of my body, my thoughts, my feelings, my actions, my relationships, my memories, my history, and so on. So I have this feeling of myself, but this feeling of myself is completely mixed up with the content of my experience. So, and that's what we call the separate self, or the finite self. So on the direct path, we start as that separate self, and we ask ourselves the question, but who am I really? Well, I'm obviously not my thoughts, because my thoughts are always leaving me. And when each time a thought disappears, I don't feel that a little bit of me disappears with it. The whole of me remains behind. So I'm obviously not my thoughts. I'm obviously not my feelings. My feelings are not always with me. I have obviously been myself all my life. So whatever I am must have been with me all my life. Well, the current feeling of loneliness or excitement or sorrow has not been with me all my life. It comes and goes. It just appeared yesterday. Tomorrow it'll be gone. So that hasn't been with me all my life. So it doesn't qualify as me. Have you not felt I am me all my life?
Yes.
When you were a 5-year-old boy, didn't you think I'm me?
Yes.
And 10-year-old boy, and 15 and 20 and don't know how far to go on, but but have you not always felt, well, when you were having breakfast this morning, didn't you feel it was me having breakfast? When you were traveling here, didn't you feel it was I? Don't you feel that I is like the, have you not always been I?
I do, but this I
Okay,
is
so
no
that's
quality.
good. So that's the question. I'm answering your question about self-inquiry. I is an investigation. What is it that qualifies as I? Only that is always with me qualifies as I. My thoughts are not I. My feelings are not I. My sensations are not I. My perceptions are not I. My relationships are not I. So this is self-inquiry. You go deeper and deeper. Who am I really? You go on and on and on until you arrive at your essential, irreducible self. What do I mean by essential? Essential is that aspect of a thing that cannot be removed from it. What do I mean by irreducible? You can't go further back. It's like undressing at night. You take off everything. When you take off everything, you come to your essential, irreducible body. You can't take off anything else. That's your essential body, no longer clothed in garments. Well, self-inquiry, we go to our essential self, our essential being, no longer clothed in experience. We've taken off the layer, the thoughts, the feelings. When you've taken off everything, when you've removed everything, what remains? That is yourself. That's self-inquiry.
Okay.
Having arrived at your essential, irreducible self, just the fact of being or being aware, there's then no more, you're not practicing anymore. There's no more method anymore. There's no longer a separate self to practice. All that remains is to abide as that. Mm-hmm. And in fact, even that is a concession to the separate self. Being, and this is where we've been these last few days, being does not need to be told to abide as yourself.
So that's what you mean by being.
Even the suggestion, abide as yourself, is my concession to the separate self. Being doesn't need... Think of all the scriptures, the teachings that humanity have been produced over the last, let's say, 3,000 years. Not one of them is addressed to being. Being doesn't need any spiritual instruction.
Yes.
The sun doesn't need to be taught to shine. It's only the apparently separate self. So even the very, very highest teachings make a degree of concession to the separate self. So even the pathless path is
concession.
To remain as the one, abide as being. Does the one need to be told to remain as itself? Does being need to be told to abide as being? So even these highest statements that we find in the Ashtavakra Gita and even they are concessions. So the pathless path is, I won't say it makes no concessions at all. If we want to make the only teaching that makes no concessions at all is just silence. Soon as we say anything, we're making a concession. But the pathless path is the path that makes that starts with the one. Meister Eckhart, I quoted him a few days ago. I think he expressed it beautifully. When we come to the one that gathers up all things into itself, we come to the one on the direct path. We come from the separate self to the one. We come to the one either on the direct path or the progressive path. But once, this is Meister Eckhart, when we come to the one that gathers up all things into itself, there we must stay. There we must, when we coming to the one, that's the direct path or the progressive path, there we must stay, that's the pathless path.
Okay. And the being is what you mean by that, right?
Right?
When you take off everything, what left is the being.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, got it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.